What is good, everybody? Good morning. Smitty here from Around the 412. Just me. We don't do this very often. We don't go live very often other than on Saturdays in season for Steelers Saturday Sit Down. Man, it felt good to say that. It's been so long. Or obviously for the NFL draft, we go live. Still, that's a work in progress. We're going to see what happens with that. I know Tyler's just been like saying, oh, yeah, we'll be doing it for sure, the live show. And maybe he plans on doing it in some form or fashion, regardless of how it plays out. But I may or may not still be down there. So we'll see exactly what that ends up looking like. But we'll have content for you one way or another regarding the NFL draft. So very excited to get to that. But first, we got to work our way through free agency. And I'll let you guys kind of dictate the conversation, whichever way you want to take it, talking free agency, talking draft, whatever you guys want to discuss. But until we get some people in here, we'll start with the free agency stuff and work our way through, go from there. We'll just go chronological order. Asante Samuel Jr. back in the fold. I figured it was going to be one of him or James Pierre back. I know Omar Khan said that he would like to have both. Well, I just didn't think that that was feasible. And then obviously another corner signing down the road that we'll talk about here in a bit. But had you told me that was the type of corner that they were also going to add to the roster, I think Asante Samuel Jr. makes sense. Gives you a little bit of a change up in that room, more of the like post-snap rotation guy that can take on some of those zone assignments as opposed to the physical press, hands-on corner at the line of scrimmage. So 1 year, $4 million, no issue with that. They were one of the few teams that would clear him last year and allow him to return to play. So I guess just gives him another year in the fold, show that he's fully healthy, and then reset and hopefully for himself get back in the mix next year in free agency. Still relatively young. So, I mean, assuming like all systems are good here and he's good to go, should be ready to roll. Cole Holcomb, I think, raised eyebrows for me. I'm not sure about you guys as well. But the reason that I say that is this dude wasn't even really like playing much down the stretch other than like he became like a three-phase special teamer. I thought he should have been playing over Malik Harrison in some of the situations that they had Malik Harrison playing in. So I thought that that was super interesting for me, that he's back on a 2-year deal. Now, maybe the plan is to move on from Malik Harrison. I don't know. I haven't gotten any indication one way or another whether that's the case. I kind of thought, similarly to John New, that that was like a foregone conclusion, that was for sure going to happen. But it hasn't yet. And also all the talk surrounding Patrick Queen definitely raised some eyebrows for me too, because I don't love that as a one-to-one replacement if you're talking about putting Cole Holcomb in for Patrick Queen. But it gives you a fail-safe. It gives you a safety net should things go south and you have to do that. Now, they did pay Patrick Queen's roster bonus just yesterday. So I think that says like they don't have any plans to trade him. But I would say ... right now, because like, is this thing going to get ugly? He changed his agents. He was certainly looking for an extension, whether it be with the Steelers or the team that he was traded to. Like, I don't know. I think if they could have gotten like an early-ish day 3 pick, they would have done it. There was even some conversation. I mentioned this certainly on – no, I did it on Steelers Afternoon Drive as well. Steelers Afternoon Drive and on here on the most recent one. There was conversation, don't know how far it got, with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was very interested in Patrick Queen at one point, ended up going and getting Alex Anzalone in free agency. There was a discussion about Chris Godwin coming the other way. Now, what would the full framework have looked like on that deal? I assume there would have been draft compensation going both ways. Don't know how far the conversations got, but there was some discussion about that being the case. So I don't think this conversation's over regarding Patrick Queen, because if he's looking for an extension, those conversations, I think, are going to get louder if he doesn't get one as we go through the summer. And it's a tough extension to figure out. Like, I don't know how you guys feel, but to me, he's more important for this team than he is good right now. And like, had Peyton Wilson taken the second-year leap that I was hoping, that I was expecting, maybe it's a different conversation in terms of how, if we could move on from Patrick Queen at this point. I just don't think that we saw that. I don't think that we got there. And I don't know that I want to create this massive hole on the defense that you're going to have to obviously use a draft pick to replace. And then you're talking about, can that guy come in right away and be the communicator for this defense? So I think there's a lot of questions. The best case scenario to me is probably the least likely one with how this turns out. It's plays out the last year of his contract. They go their separate ways. That's how I look at it. It's a hard extension to figure out to me. I would like to see them bring in somebody else to wear the green dot and him be able to just play more free. So we'll see if that happens in terms of an extension or trade. I don't want to spend all the time in the world on the Patrick Queen discussion because it's not one that happened, and there are things that actually happened. I see you guys starting to get in the comments here. Has said, hey, Smitty, once you get the draft stuff, who's your favorite day 2, day 3 prospect? Ooh, yeah, probably going to be some receivers and defensive backs within that, but we'll get there when we get there. Should be getting more than Quay Walker if he's looking for an extension. Wouldn't prefer the Steelers doing that. Yeah, me either. I mean, you go through off-ball linebacker contracts, and it's like, at first, you think Patrick Queen, 11 plus million. Are you willing to do that? And that's a decrease from where he's at right now. But I think I would have even at first been like, probably not. And then you see the linebackers that are making that. It's like, oh, yeah, probably has a case to be making that much money then. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one to figure out for sure. I have no clue the way this is going. I think literally every option is still probably on the table. I know that with his roster bonus being paid, people think like that conversation is just like, oh, it's over now. He's certainly going to be on the roster. He was looking for a new contract. Like, I just don't see a way that this doesn't get ugly throughout the summer, personally. But I hope that that's not the case. And we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Next move, Michael Pittman Jr. Trade and then sign. I mean, I say trade. Really, they got him for free from Indianapolis. That's a salary dump for them. He was due $29 million. That was not going to happen after they brought back Alec Pierce, which I think was probably the right call for them. But the Steelers, the beneficiary there. Love the trade aspect of it. Like, how could you not, obviously? And I don't even dislike the extension part of this. They didn't really add any new guaranteed money, just $24 million that he would have been due from the Steelers this year as well. But curious to see how they really like spread that out on the 3-year, $59 million extension that he got, but less than $20 million per for a receiver. At this point in time, when we see like the salary cap jumping, these wide receiver contracts pretty much always eclipsing $20 million. No qualms about it for me, even for a guy that, you've seen the juice go a little bit. That was never really like the calling card for him, though. Like, just always a guy that just eats up zone coverage, knows where to sit down, just so smart, sees the field like a quarterback, just understands coverages, leverages, really good at doing that. Great chain mover on third down, just so reliable. And he does all the dirty stuff too. Like, I think the Steelers fans are going to fall in love with his game just because of the willingness to participate in the run game and just be a part of it all. Just a great culture fit too. Sets the tone every single day. Loved hearing him talk. So I'm excited about this addition, what he's going to bring on and off the field. So I think going to be a great like for a team that could very well add multiple receivers in the draft. I just feel like he's a great addition at this point in time for the way that they're building this roster. Coffee's great. So we went with caramel vanilla cheesecake is what we're rocking with. Not that you guys can see it, but here is the cup that I'm drinking out of. So it's Dunkin', the caramel grounds from Dunkin', vanilla caramel coffee creamer, and then I put cheesecake Torani syrup in the cold foam, and then salted caramel finishing sugar on top of that. It's fantastic. I don't even remember where I was. We were just talking about Michael Pittman Jr. and the additions that they probably are still going to make to the receiver room. I guess I'll jump in there and stop in terms of the signings that they've made so far, because a lot of people were asking, are they done at wide receiver? I think a lot of people were expecting like Jalen Tolbert to still be added to the receiver room as well, potentially as a second guy in the free agent class. So are they done there, or is there still a free agent addition possible, or will they just turn the page, go to the draft and add a guy there? And listen, Roman Wilson's still on the roster. It's a fresh start, new coaching staff. Don't know that they have hopes for him if he's just going to be like cast away by them. They didn't draft him, so neither way would surprise me really. But I am curious as to which route they're going to go. There's not like a name that jumps out to me in terms of free agency that I know for sure that they've talked to. Would somebody like Christian Kirk, another vet that torch them in the postseason if they're not having much of a regular season, that is a vet that plays the slot, make sense? To some degree, I think it depends on the vision for Michael Pittman Jr., who I personally, at this point in time, would like to see used more as like a power slot. Like he can still play move Z. I don't think he's going to do much X stuff for them, but it's within the realm of possibility that they still see him as a 3-position guy. So I don't know. Are they still casting a wide net at the position is my question in terms of the archetype of receiver. When I look at like the currently available free agents, I'll be honest, that's one of the few guys that stick out. Darnell Mooney potentially could make some sense as well. I've seen some people throw that out there. Not that I've heard that they've shown interest in him or anything like that. Tolbert was the one, like if you were asking me, is there still an addition to be made? And I had to like make a prediction on who that would potentially be. That is the guy I would have said. Obviously that does not come to fruition. Like if you're looking for one of those other guys, like Diggs is not happening, Tyreek Hill's not happening. Who even knows if he's going to play football next year? But absolutely no conversation surrounding that. I am intrigued by the Darnell Mooney thing. I'm also kind of intrigued by the Christian Kirk thing. Again, I know he didn't do much last year. He wouldn't be relied upon to do much this year, I don't think either. But we'll see. I'm interested in the way that they view Pittman, I think is really going to shape the rest of this. Would you expect a move soon at left guard or another receiver? Well, just kind of talked about the receiver thing. Left guard, I fully expected that the Brock Hoffman thing would have been made official. So Jordan Schultz put that out there, what was that, Tuesday maybe? And so the thing with him, why he was in a different bucket than the rest of these guys, was that as an RFA, they can't have been legally tampering with him on Monday and Tuesday. You have to wait until Wednesday, 4 p.m., when the new league year starts, to even go through that process, to start going through that process. So they couldn't have agreed to terms with him at that point in time. I expected once we got to Wednesday that we would see that actually become official with him. Now, in terms of Brock Hoffman, when and if that were to happen, I'm not viewing him as just immediately a guy that's stepping in and lapping Spencer Anderson. All of a sudden, he's the set in stone left guard. Now you could create some competition there. Maybe one of those guys win it and you feel decent about it. Like I think that's okay. Like I much prefer those guys as interior offensive line depth, like top end backups as opposed to the starting left guard. But I don't think it's the worst case scenario to have one of those guys play. The last guy that went off the board that I knew that there was some interest in was Chris Paul, who I thought would have been an interesting fit, like really good pass blocker, not very good in the run game, like complete inverse, like top 5 pass blocking guard last year, bottom 3 run blocking guard last year. So it would have been an interesting fit, like with what they have here. But I will say, with the investment that they've made, not necessarily from like a player perspective there, but from a coaching staff perspective, like the expectation should be that we can get a lot out of these guys, get the most out of these guys. You have not only your offensive line coach, you have an assistant offensive line coach. Your tight ends coach was an assistant offensive line coach last year. Your running backs coach was an assistant offensive line coach last year. These guys should be tasked with bringing up a group, with elevating a group, getting at least baseline play out of whatever the investment is. To be honest, the way that they've approached free agency, I still think right now, like if you made me pick, I would say receiver first round. But like, I don't think we can roll out if Benga is there at 21 and they have not signed a left guard, or even if they signed Brock Hoffman, I wouldn't roll that out as being the pick. And being that the draft's at Pittsburgh, not a super sexy pick. I think it's a good one, but not a super sexy one. I'm curious as to what the perception or reception, I should say, would be of them making that selection. So I don't know. I can't say that I necessarily expect one though. Like the names that I had been hearing, Nick, were names that are now off the board. So we'll see there. So yeah, they checked one box in the corner room with Asante Samuel Jr. and then bringing in Jamel Dean, who allows them to mirror on both sides now. What Joey Porter Jr. is really good at. Physical dude, press man coverage at the line of scrimmage, gets his hands on guys, beats them up. For a long time, like the guy opposite of Joey, it was like you were cutting the field in half and asking them to do something completely different, which is why I mentioned Asante Samuel Jr. now being the change of pace. He provides that change up and can do something totally different. He can be like that post-snap rotation corner, just using his eyes to read. Jamel's going to be the guy that presses them at the line of scrimmage, similarly to Joey. They can do really cool things, I think, within that. So I'm super excited about this, and I'm surprised at the contract that he got. It's really a 1-year, $13 million deal. That's like, regardless of the structure and how it looks, 3 years, 36.75. If he does not play well in 2026, certainly not a lot to be back beyond it. So I think this is a really great signing. You look at the year that he was coming off of last year. I don't know why Tampa basically just decided, like he said, Tampa told him at the beginning of the year this was going to be it. Very interesting decision. But I think it works out in the Steelers' favor. Very excited about this move. And I still wouldn't roll out another addition like relatively early there, to be honest with you. I guess we could also start talking about some of the guys that have moved on because of these. You know, James Pierre going elsewhere, which I think was one of the best contracts given out in terms of value with him going to Minnesota. Makes sense. Brian Flores' defense, Gerald Alexander went there as well. So I was hoping for more of an investment at corner. Getting Jamel Dean was that. So I can't say I'm like super upset as much as I like James Pierre and don't think it was just like a flash in the pan. I think he landed in a really good spot, but I think Jamel Dean, super excited about his inclusion of this defense. Patrick Graham's going to have a field day, I think. Compare like this level of talent, we're going to continue to talk about what was added to this talent compared to what he's worked with in the past. Yeah. Would be thrilled if we got Van Gayon in round one. I mean, so would I. I'm just saying, I think overall from the fan base perspective, if it's not a receiver, I think this is probably going to be the reaction. DB would be interesting, you know, like if it was like Dylan Thieneman, what's the reaction? Again, I wouldn't be super upset. Although now after adding somebody we're going to talk about in a bit, maybe a little bit less likely. Juwan Jennings is somebody that intrigues me, but I've heard nothing about him. Me either. That's another like, you know, power slot guy that can play like 3 spots, could play move Z. Like if McCarthy was really just trying to build a receiver room where it's just all bigger guys that can play multiple spots and you have no idea where they're going to line up, he would make a ton of sense. Haven't heard anything about him. The Steelers were interested in him like going back to the days, I don't know, like 2 years ago when it looked like maybe there wasn't going to be a spot with him or for him with San Fran. But then like he became the guy because of them moving on from Debo and the injury to Brandon Ayuk and everything that happened there. Had a really nice year. But yeah, I have no clue what's going to happen with him. I haven't heard Steelers connected at all. You think there's some delay in Elliott's recovery and Brisker's handcuff? I actually think Elliott's ahead of schedule, not just based off the video that I've seen, but also what I've heard. So no, I just think that the plan is to have all 3 guys. Allows them to play Jalen more in the slot in some situations. Yeah, I just, they've been trying forever to have the ability to play like a heavy nickel with 3 safeties and like going back, whether it was an injury to this guy, an injury to that guy, just never happened. And this seems like another crack at trying to be able to do it. So I think the plan is for all 3 to be in place. And Brisker and Elliott, there's some some parallels there for sure. Like, is there too much redundancy? I don't think so, but they're both really good around the line of scrimmage. So, you know, we'll see. Jennings is a great blocking wide receiver as well. Yeah, trust me. I thought he would have made a ton of sense, you know, in Arthur Smith's offense. Now you're talking about going into Mike McCarthy's in a West Coast where you could obviously have a bunch more opportunities as pass catchers within that. Yeah, I agree. Notice we're not talking about the quarterback position at all within any of this. True nose is a huge as well in my book. Yeah. So, you know, I was trying to go in chronological order, but I said you guys could dictate the conversation. So that's totally cool. We can go to the defensive line now where they did bring back Sazia Tomowo. They also signed Sebastian Joseph Day. And he's played some 1 tech, but in the past few years, it's more of the 3 to 5 tech stuff that he's done. This is a name that I had on my list. I had heard there was some interest there, but I also heard there was interest in to Sean Hand. And I thought he would make more sense for like the body type that they were looking for or should be looking for, in my opinion. But Sebastian Joseph Day is like a really good player in terms of what he brings to run defense from his spot. Now, are they going to ask him to play like right over the center? Are they going to ask him to play that 0-1? It's going to be interesting to see if he can do it within this defense. Like, I'm not like, I have so much respect for Patrick Graham as a defensive coordinator. Like, you guys know, based off hearing me talk, I'm higher on him than I think a lot of people probably are. If he sees the vision, I'm going to let this thing play out. So we'll see. Like 2 years, 11 million with like what, 6.5 or something guaranteed. Doesn't tell me this is just like death. I think this guy's going to play quite a bit. So maybe they do see him as being able to play the nose within this defense. That'll be interesting. Gridiron said Joseph Day is low-key a grade A pickup. The rest are excellent too, but I still have a ton of confidence in Roman Wilson. He was the best separator on the team last year. Sitting him was malpractice. So what's interesting, like just having conversations with people, like I get it. If you're watching the tape and you see him open, he's open. Like, so from a fan perspective, it's hard to say that he wasn't doing his job well a lot when you would see him open. From having conversations with people, though, I guess the big thing was he was open, but he wasn't in the right spot. I just think that there's so many nuances to the wide receiver position, especially at this level. And last year, certainly with like the demands of playing with Aaron Rodgers at that spot, that he doesn't have down yet, or he didn't have down yet. I'm not completely writing him off, but I think that there's something lost there when, from a fan perspective, all you see is this guy's open. Because I get it. I would agree. When you see it on film, if he's open in our eyes. When you're a player and the guy's open, but he's open in the wrong spot, doesn't matter that he was open, you know? So we'll see. Again, not writing him off. We'll see how the Steelers go about business from this point forward, because we're going to have a pretty good idea if he's being iced out, if he's going to be boxed out from earning a spot, I think. If they go out, sign another receiver, and then draft one early, I don't love that. Again, this is a coaching staff that they were not the ones that spent that third-round pick on Roman Wilson. There's no attachment there. Find it hilarious that we are getting high grades as free agency so far, and we have Rudolph as QB1. See, that's the thing. I mean, you got to be able to look at every move in a vacuum. You can absolutely question what the plan is at that spot, at least in the short term. Like, I think I would have said this last year, but then obviously the class played out the way that it did. The plan now has become, we're finding the quarterback in 2027 draft, which the plan was before we're finding the quarterback in the 26 draft. The kicking the can down the road certainly can be frustrating as a fan, but that's the spot that they're in right now. You got to look at every move in a vacuum, and then to expand upon that, look at it collectively from a haul perspective. And it, like, where are you poking the hole at right now in terms of the Steelers free agency approach? Unless you're somebody that wanted, I get it. Like, they didn't even entertain the idea of going after Malik Willis. Didn't even entertain the idea of going after Kyler Murray. And I mean, $45 million guaranteed for Malik. I would have been okay if they did it, but that's not like something I'm like super upset about them not doing. You know what I mean? And Kyler Murray, if Minnesota was in, it wouldn't have even mattered if the Steelers showed interest. So that was where he was going, regardless, I think. But yeah, Branson, I just think you got to be able to look at it in a vacuum, say that they're having a really good offseason, but doesn't matter with the quarterback. So SJDA plus signing. When are you going to do your first? Oh, good question. It's definitely taking a back seat. I feel like all the draft stuff I feel like is taking a back seat for me because of like just trying to do so much more content on the channel. But that's content that should be factoring in now. So I agree. What is it? The 14th of March. I'd like to do a couple. Yeah, we probably should do a post free agency one. I'll probably do one within the next week and post it on here. We could even do it live potentially. So we'll see. Ayahuasca Daddy coming back feels like a lock now. I felt like that the entire time, to be honest with you. I mean, you can have conversation about whether or not that's the right approach for this team, but I felt like the entire time it was a lock. So, I mean, from their perspective, they certainly wanted him back. I want to get your guys' perspective on something. So let me know in the comments as I say this, because again, this is just like outside looking in. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I think It's been sitting with me last year when Aaron got to the team in the summer and basically apologized for the timeline being what it was, but said, like, don't worry, I'm like locked in. I'm all ready to go now. We're kind of going down the same road again, though. So, like, I don't know, kind of hard to take somebody's apology seriously when they just end up doing the same thing again, right? I just wonder what the vibe is like within that locker room. Like, I think that they love Aaron. I think that they loved the year with Aaron. But do they want to go down this road again and just play this waiting game for months without knowing who their quarterback is? I just think that the guys want an offseason of knowing. Is that too much to ask for to know who your quarterback's going to be? I think the signing of Pittman Jr. pushed wide receiver back to the third round. I mean, I guess I can't roll it out if they go offensive line DB or offensive line defensive line. The defensive line, I think even with Sebastian Joseph Day, like they could definitely benefit from getting a younger guy within there if it's there. So I guess it's still possible, sure. Off-ball linebacker could be in play early still too. Surprised Davis Mills hasn't gotten any trade buzz. Yeah, I mean, I guess at least, yeah, to some degree, I agree. Just because you see the conversation surrounding Mac Jones and like with the price that they're setting there, I agree that I'm surprised it hasn't been like, well, if we can't get Mac because it's going to cost 2 or whatever, let's see what Davis Mills is worth. I don't know. There's a lot of smoke surrounding CJ Stroud earlier too. Maybe that's the reason. So when are you playing quarterback for the Steelers next year? No, I declined them. If the draft was today, who would be your best guess at 21? I don't think they're going to stay at 21. I think they have 2 paths here. I think a lot of teams are going to be trying to trade down because they want 27 capital. I think the Steelers would be in that bucket without knowing what the board looks like. They need to start stockpiling those 27 picks. It doesn't look like based off early on. I think it was just a coincidence that it looked like maybe they were trying to do the comp game thing again. I don't think that was the plan though. But they're gonna have to find a way to start acquiring some 27 capital in the way that they did in 26, or like the way that the cupboard looked for 26, because that was going to be the year for quarterback. Now it's next year. So got to get the ball rolling on those picks. So like them trying to trade down makes sense, but I think like most teams are probably going to be trying to trade down. So could that be in their favor and they try to move up instead and it doesn't cost as much? Something to keep in mind. I'm going to say receiver still for me. Again, this could definitely change. As far as the player it will be, I mean, he's still getting mocked in this range. I don't personally get it. I'm going to go Jordan Tyson for right now. But there's also some hope within that. I think it's much more likely they have like a selection of Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper Jr., Denzel Boston, who I would not take, especially with the way that they built this room so far. I think that would be the more expectation for what's there, but I'll go with Jordan Tyson because he's been there pretty much every mock draft. Felt like Rodgers was a lock as soon as McCarthy was signed. Yeah. I get that. To be honest, I don't think like if it was Tomlin coming back, if it was McCarthy, I felt like Rodgers was going to be coming back regardless. Reek Woolen to Philly. Yeah, that's a good spot for him. What a volatile player though, you know? Like there's a lot of boom or bust within his game. So I think it's a great spot for him, though. Obviously, there's not as much pressure to be the guy there. Quinyon Mitchell's there. You got Cooper DeJean. Curious to see Coop's role now with Reed Blankenship gone. Do we see him play more of like a safety nickel? But yeah, that's a great spot for him. Only 1 year. I don't know that he's going to stay there longer, but I think that's a great way to like build up value and then hit free agency again. Chase a Super Bowl, chase a bag. Very good points. Believe some of that has to be put on coaching, some of on him taking first season of NFL snaps, and some on him for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of everything. I think that plays into that when you don't get the return on investment for a player. I think him and Zach Azzani were like water and oil together. Obviously, Zach Azzani's not back into the fold. Don't know what his relationship is going to be like with the new wide receivers coach. We'll have to see on that. But I'm not even like going to give a prediction. I'm not even going to have like an expectation set for what Roman Wilson's going to be this year. It's a clean slate for everybody. So we'll see. Might not be doing the same thing again. We needed to give him a contract first. His comments on Pat McAfee's show. They might be waiting to sign. I think they're waiting all these signing first. I think his signing is coming soon. I mean, it's a staring contest. Like he's saying that they haven't offered him a contract and they're still waiting to see if he's going to play. To be like from talking to people though, it's not that different from last. They didn't offer him a contract until they knew for sure he wanted to come here last year. So like, it's not like they put something on his plate at the beginning of free agency in March, and then he didn't sign until whenever that was. That June that he ended up officially signing, or was it sometime in May? Either way, whenever it was. I don't think the situation's all that different. I understand because of his public comments on Pat McAfee's show, it seems like he was putting more onus on the team, but I don't know. I will say though, I think the one thing that like people throwing out there that is very stupid to me is people talk about him holding the team hostage. You can't hold a willing participant hostage. They're playing this game. They're putting themselves in this position. If they wanted to walk away, they could. He can't force them to do anything. Still take a wide receiver, day 1 or 2. I would as well. Do you think a decent guard is coming soon? With what's left in free agency, I don't know that like you can say decent is really with it. Like I really like Brock Hoffman. I'm hoping that comes to fruition. But again, I like him more as like a swing interior back. Like I actually like him better at center, I think, than left guard. So they didn't bring Ryan McCollum back. So like this is your backup center. I think makes a ton of sense. He could be the 6th offensive lineman. But I don't know that there's like a starting guard that I see that jumps out to me at this point. Cooper Rush coming back to Pittsburgh, reunite with McCarthy, be in competition with Howard. Wade Rogers would hold him back for a name value. Oh, Cooper Rush looked better under McCarthy than he did in Baltimore. That's for sure. Haven't heard anything on this. I don't know that this is something that's even considered. I have not heard anything regarding really any other quarterbacks. Like people are talking about Kirk Cousins being a plan B. Maybe he is. I haven't heard it. I really think their eggs are in the Aaron Rodgers basket. And I don't even know what to say if that doesn't come to fruition because it's just what I expect to happen. Why not give Will Howard a shot? So here's the thing. From a fan base perspective, I think it's completely fine to have this opinion. You got to think about it from a team perspective, though. The way that they believe that they're close, clearly, right? Like with the way that they're going about building this roster. Starting Will Howard goes completely against that. The coaching hire goes completely against that. They're still trying to win right now. So you're not going to give essentially like a pseudo rookie that was drafted in the 6th round. That's just not going to happen. No team would do it. Now, the biggest thing with Will Howard, we lost out on last preseason, which sucks. But like to just give him the ball, there's not a team that's doing that. From a fan base perspective, I get what you're saying because you either find out that he's the guy or it sinks you so bad that you got a better draft pick to get the guy in 2027. That's the thought, right? I'm assuming coming from you, Josh. And again, from a fan, never going to tell somebody how to fan. I get where you're coming from 100%. That's not the way that this team is going to view it. So you got to get into the head of the team as much as you got to think about it from your perspective. Whoa, Nikki, $49.99 super sticker. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for that. Definitely didn't have to do that, but super kind. Thank you so much. Oh, I guess I should mention you guys should definitely like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Found you through Alan. I enjoy your content. Yeah, that's typically the way it goes. You know, I don't think a lot of people are telling Alan, hey, I found you through Smitty. Yeah, so it's usually the other way around. Appreciate you, Nikki. Genuinely think that our best bet for this year is to bring Aaron back as much as people don't want it. Let Will learn behind him for one more year. Yeah, I mean, okay, so this I can kind of get on board with the idea of now where Will hopefully is able to play in the preseason, get him some game action at some point this year. And yeah, like there's a lot of people a lot of people's thought is this team isn't going to win the Super Bowl this year. What's the point of even bringing Aaron Rodgers back? And again, from a fan base perspective, I'm never going to tell somebody else how to be a fan, but I think that there's a lot of hidden value within Aaron coming back from like a roster perspective and setting them up better for the future. We just talked about thinking that they're still going to add another receiver highly. This year, coming into this past year, if you would have asked me what I need coming out of 2025 to feel good about the season, like above team results, I would have said, I want to feel better about where the offensive line is. And I think that group took a massive leap. Now, obviously, you got to find out what's going on at left guard. You got to figure out what's going on at left tackle between Dylan Cook, Broderick, whatever's going to happen there. Hopefully, Broderick's health permits him being able to be involved in a left tackle battle. But yeah, like if you feel really good about the receiver group after 2026 and that they're in a better place, if you feel like you feel really good about the defensive line group is in a better place for the post Cam Hayward era, those are wins to me. And I think Aaron Rodgers coming back with the mark that he left on the culture just in 1 year, another year of that with the guys, for going above team results here, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have happen, because if your thought is just this team's not going to win the Super Bowl, well, that's going to happen regardless of who is at quarterback, right? So why not at least have the guy with some familiarity that can leave the place in a better place after 2026 for 2027? Who do you think starts at left tackle? This is actually a really good question that like I'm literally sitting here pondering. I just hope it's an open competition for two reasons. One, because that would tell me that Broderick got healthy and all the best to him. Hopefully that's able to happen. Two, would say that they're actually going to give Dylan Cook a chance to win this thing, which I think is the right way of going about it. I don't think either one's earned the right to be the set in stone, put it in Sharpie starter at left tackle come opening day. I'm going to lean with the high pick. I'll lean Broderick if you're asking me right now. Look at how many years Rodgers had to sit and wait for the opportunity. People are trying to rush Will Howard. Yeah, certainly not. I'm certainly not rushing it. I'm afraid the way that I come off is so dismissive that I'm saying that there's zero chance of him ever becoming anything. And I think it's just because there's very little middle ground here within the fan base. Like everybody's either like, this has to be the guy. This is the next Tom Brady that we got in the 6th round, or it's why is he even on the roster? And like, I just, the idea when they drafted him was to basically take Mason Rudolph's spot for a lot cheaper. That was the hope. And that's the hope for a lot, like for 6th round picks. If he is a really good backup, he's in like the top 7 6th round picks at quarterback all time. Like go look at the history. So I wish him nothing but the best. Yeah. Let him sit in this offense for another year. Now a new offense, which I actually think West Coast offense fits better for what he did. Not the strongest arm. So like in McCarthy's system, it takes a little bit of pressure off of that aspect of their game. I think from that standpoint, like stylistically, it's a better fit for him playing within this offense. Love afternoon drive. You cool with letting Spencer Anderson and Hoffman battle it out at left guard? So if that would be the signing that they make in free agency, again, like I would think if the opportunity arises for them, they would still add one within the first couple of days of the draft. And I would give that guy, maybe not like day one, maybe one of these guys would start during the first game of the season. But ultimately, I think that's the guy that ends up being the left guard when it's all said and done, is whoever they were to draft. So I think that they've shown that they can find interior guys throughout. Like Mason McCormick is a 4th round rookie, certainly excelled, played above expectation. Anywhere between rounds 1 through 4, I think that they would be drafting a guard if the only thing that they did this offseason at that position was adding Brock Hoffman. But like, I don't dislike Spencer Anderson. I like Hoffman as a swing interior guy. I think Hoffman's better at center, though, to be honest. Probably just wishfully hopeful he is a winner. I mean, I'm an Ohio State fan. I saw him win a national championship for my favorite college football team. That said, that doesn't always translate. Like, if you were just drafting him based off that, he's going first overall in the 2025 draft. It's just not the way it works. Like, how much of what he did translates to the NFL? How much of that sample size within the college football playoff is the player that he's going to be in the NFL? You know, like this was a guy from watching him last year. I wouldn't have drafted him prior to the college football playoff. He looked terrible for most of the year. Then he had a fantastic college football playoff. Again, I'm not completely dismissing the idea here that Will Howard's going to be a starting quarterback at some point. I think to put that on him right now is not only a disservice to the fan base, it's a disservice to him to put that on him. Ross is looking stacked with just free agency. We have 12 draft picks, and Aaron Rodgers was not the problem last year. What makes you think that we can't win a Super Bowl this year? I mean, first off, like there's just so many moving pieces within this. Like the defense, despite the level of investment, certainly did not play to that level. Now it's Patrick Graham in here. I would like if this isn't a top 7 defense this year, that's a massive disappointment. I would have said the same thing last year, though, when they were one of the worst. So obviously need to see a massive leap within there. And I think that on paper, they have the talent absolutely to be that group. And I like the coaching hire. Beyond the coordinators, I really like the coaching hires on that side of the ball for sure. I think that they got the perfect blend of experience and youth. I like the Pico hire in the defensive line. I love CJ Ayu and what he did at Texas Tech, bringing those guys along. Joe Witt Jr. did not want him as the defensive coordinator, but as a secondaries coach, I think is fantastic. Jason Simmons being brought back, like guys that have been part of these turnover cultures before, I think is fantastic. The reason that I feel this way, though, is still going to be more so about the offense. Like you're saying, Rodgers was not the problem last year, and I get it. Didn't have the most weapons at his disposal. Offensive line, I think, took a leap, but there was still some question, obviously, about that left tackle spot through most of the year, and he was getting rid of the ball quick. He doesn't want to take hits, though. Like he's not standing in the pocket and taking a bunch of licks, and I don't necessarily blame him, but it's going to more limit your offense with where he's at this stage of his career. And you saw what happened going against the better defenses in the league. Like, sure, he looked good to pretty good against mediocre level of competition, bad competition. When they played good teams, look at the drop in numbers for him. In the offense as a whole, I'm not putting it all on him. I'm just saying that's, to me, this is not a Super Bowl roster. I don't know. Is that a hot take to say the Steelers aren't a Super Bowl contender going into 2026, regardless of who the quarterback is? Well, Howard won the national championship, won the MVP in college football playoffs. He deserves at least a few snaps so we can see. You hinted at it. Can we say the quiet part out loud? Rodgers reset the culture in the locker room. Tomlin, Hayward, and TJ allowed the culture to wane. I wasn't saying that. I think that it was very intentional to get certain guys out of there. Most locker rooms have, when you talk about 53 plus guys within the locker room, there's going to be some bad eggs in there. But I think that they've been super intentional about the guys that they've brought in recently. And getting the likes of certain guys out of the locker room. But Tomlin was there when they were getting those guys out of the locker room as well. I don't know. This isn't what I was saying at all. But I mean, I'm not going to say that you can't feel that way. Central Ohio is mostly Browns and Steelers fans, all Buckeyes. So every time I talk about trying to find a QB, they just can't believe we aren't starting Will Howard. Yeah. I think Will Howard's ceiling is Trevor Lawrence. I think the floor is like a Mitch Trubisky. There's a lot of in between there. Trevor Lawrence, just from like where he's at in terms of a hierarchy ranking, because like the similarities in play to me aren't there at all. But again, I don't know. Go look at the quarterbacks that have been taken in the 6th round. To be honest, 6th round of a not good quarterback class. Go look at the quarterbacks that were taken in the 6th round. If Will Howard is a good backup, he's like the 6th best of all time. Super Bowl, fellas, are we sure that they're a playoff team? If Aaron comes back, plays the exact same way he did last year, I feel pretty comfortable about putting them in the playoffs. But I would say that they're going to ultimately have the same result that they did this past year, just on the road instead of at home. That'd be my prediction as we sit here right now. I got to get back to talking about some of the other free agency stuff. I don't think that we wrapped up there. We didn't talk about Rico Dowdle at all. Kenny Gainwell going to Tampa. Rico Dowdle brought in one of 11 backs with 1,300 yards in each of the last 2 seasons. Listen, I love what Kenny Gainwell did last year. I think it was more of a product of what the offense had to be because of Aaron Rodgers, because of the lack of investment into the wide receiver room, because of the question marks on the offensive line. I think that Kenny Gainwell, and I appreciate everything that he did, to replicate that was going to be pretty tough. I think in terms of a fit within this offense, Rico Dowdle's much better. The gap runs that he can do, the between the tackles runner that he is, I think he fits better in terms of what they want to do. And it allows Jaylen Warren to take on more of the receiving work, which is something that he's capable of doing, but when you had Kenny Gainwell in the fold, wasn't happening with much volume. So love the addition of Rico Dowdle. Surprised, honestly, that there was that much of an investment into the position. Didn't think that they would pay another back and actually pay him more than what Jaylen Warren is making. So when I saw what Kenny Gainwell got, in my mind, I was just thinking, okay, maybe we go like Rachaad White, maybe somebody like Brian Robinson Jr. brought in to be the other back. Here's the other question I have. Again, I'm not like saying that it's over for Caleb Johnson, but he's not finding touches within this offense as a running back right now, at the very least. And they need another back that can like help out in pass pro. They need somebody that can play special teams. Kenny Gainwell was their kick returner last year. Where are they finding that? And does Caleb Johnson keep a roster spot when and if you do find that? Rico Dowdle is not a very good pass protector. Jaylen Warren's a very good one, but you'd be kind of, I feel like you're tipping your hand a lot right now when I look at this running back room and the deployment. So I think they need another addition. DB, when he was on Afternoon Drive on Thursday, threw out Travis Homer, and I love that. I mean, that's a guy, fine, 1 year, plays special teams, good in pass pro, makes 100% sense. Doesn't have to be him, but somebody of that ilk. McCarthy's a QB guru. He knows what he has or does not have in Howard. Listen, McCarthy deserves all the credit in the world for developing Aaron Rodgers. What outside of that has allowed him to get this QB guru label? I'm curious. Like, I think he's a very good offensive mind. I appreciate the work that he's done with QBs, but if you're just his track record, I think, is being overstated a little bit in terms of the work specifically with quarterbacks. Like, by the time he got to Dallas, Dak was 5 years into the league, had led the league in passing before, had led the league in completion percentage before, had led the league in passer rating before, had been to 2 Pro Bowls. Say what you will about Pro Bowls, just, baseline thing to throw in there, give you some type of idea. I mean, Favre was at the end. I think he elevated the play of Aaron Brooks, but like that's not some crazy thing. Joe Montana was at the end. Like, who are we giving McCarthy a bunch of credit for in terms of the development? I think his offense can get the most out of guys. Any update on the Patrick Queen situation? Was wondering what's going on with him. They paid his roster bonus on Friday, which tells me that they don't want to trade him now. But he hired a new agent this offseason. He was looking for an extension, whether that be from the Steelers or in a trade to somebody else. And I don't know that that's happening. So, like, things could get ugly this summer. So, strap in. I'm curious to see how it plays out, just like you are. I have no idea. Right now, I would expect it to be quiet for a little bit, is what I would say on this front. But if we get to training camp, still doesn't have an extension, how ugly is he going to be willing to make it, or is he just going to play out that last year? Love the new Dowdle Warren combo. Got me interested in a game against Carolina that originally I didn't think about. He's got it circled. I got everyone circled. Poor Smitty getting peppered with Howard questions. Yeah, I was expecting that. Extension for what, with all due respect, obviously. I mean, he's in the last year of his contract. That's all I'm saying. I think that's what he's looking for an extension for. These guys hit the last year, and they always are. Very rarely do you see guys play out that last year. So I'm not surprised by it necessarily, but it's a hard number to figure out exactly what he's worth. And also, I would like to see the role change. I mentioned at the top, I don't know if you were in here, but right now he's the communicator. He's wearing the green dot. I think that's just not something within his wheelhouse, at least like the best version of him. So hopefully they can get somebody else in to communicate if he is going to get an extension and be here longer. I don't know if Peyton Wilson's going to be capable of doing that. He didn't take the second-year leap that I was hoping for to even be able to stay on the field for 3 downs, let alone be the communicator. But I would like to see Queen just be able to play free, play sideline to sideline. He is a really good blitzer, and he's still a good athlete. I just think he's overwhelmed right now and being asked to do more than what's within his wheelhouse, which is what leads to the result that we're getting right now, where you're talking about, again, I think a player that's more important than he is good for this roster. I think they should say thanks to no thanks to Rodgers if they're high as Will Howard, as they say, give him a shot. Don't do like they did with Rudolph, who didn't get a shot at all. Like, again, from a fan base perspective, I get what you're saying. Like, how many people are of the mindset that every single quarterback that is ever brought into an organization gets a shot to actually be the starter? It doesn't happen. Miami played Quinn Ewers a very little bit last year, a guy that had much higher pedigree than Will Howard going into college. After everything happened with Tua, and they just immediately went out and got the bell with the ball in terms of the free agent quarterback class. Why wasn't he getting a shot to be the legit guy at starter? This happens all over the place. It's just not the way that organizations operate. This was interesting. Why did we let Seumalo go? There was like really never a conversation of him coming back, which is super interesting. I don't know. I don't have a great answer for this, Josh. I think maybe like he was a guy that was banged up quite a bit, but for the most part, even though he wouldn't practice, would end up still being available on Sundays. I don't know. Maybe they just reached a point where they weren't comfortable with the relationship going forward, assuming that he was going to continue to miss the amount of time that he was. I don't know. But obviously left them with a massive hole. Like, so if you would have told me that he ends up not signing back or whatever, I actually would have presumed he was going to retire. Like, that was a conversation that legit was taking place. But there not even be like any interest seemingly from their side to continue the relationship. I'm intrigued to figure out exactly why that was the case. And I guess if we get to the draft, they spend a high pick there. They had somebody else in the form, whether, again, we talk about Brock Hoffman a lot, whether it's him or somebody just like of that ilk. Okay, I guess I get it. Who's going to play the center field role for this defense? Yeah, we didn't talk about the signing of Jaquan Brisker yet, but that was a big one. 1 year, $5.5 million. It ain't going to be him though. I guess Jalen Ramsey would be the guy that I would say right now. Brisker can do some overhang stuff. I don't think that he's the best coverage safety. Really good in the box, really short tackler. Yeah, I think right now it's Ram. But this is why, like, I wouldn't roll out. Like, I would not hate a Dylan Thieneman selection at all, depending on how the draft goes. Tough situation. We have Wilson and Holcomb, who's going to be 100% healthy, so we'll see how he does. Yeah, again, 2-year deal for Holcomb. I don't know if this was serious, but this is actually a great point in terms of the quarterback conversation about Skylar Thompson. No, he's a free agent. Response from Seumalo was comical. Yeah, he's there for the money. I appreciate that. Jacob Rodriguez. I actually really like this. I would 100% be on board with the Jacob Rodriguez idea for sure. The thing with their picks is like each one of them, the linebackers kind of fit in between their picks. Because if they took like CJ Allen at 21, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, that was a reach. But he's going to go well before their second round pick. Jacob Rodriguez, if they took him at 52, is that raising eyebrows because he should have gone somewhere in between their second and third pick? I think that there's these pockets where these off-ball linebackers are going to go and their picks are kind of in a weird spot to take them. But I love Jacob Rodriguez. I wouldn't necessarily have a big issue with that selection. Elijah Surratt with a trade up early third, take a CB lineman, both sides around them, and a safety. More needs than people think about. I mean, I think they have a ton of needs. So, yeah, I think Jacob Rodriguez is a really good fit. I like the call out for sure. And that's a guy I think can communicate. Now, CJ Allen, I mentioned him real quick. Just want to come back to him because he got a ton of credit. His coaches talked about him a ton, that they would just like kind of let him make the call. Like, this dude, I think legit could be the communicator for this defense day one if they were to bring him in. Seems super smart, like above the neck, is everything you need in an off-ball linebacker. And I'm not saying like Jacob Rodriguez or any of these other guys, Galladay. I'm not saying that they can't do that. the way that his coaches talked about him at the combine was like popped my ears, because I was like, oh my goodness, this just sounds like the exact guy that we need if we were going to be moving on from Patrick Queen and needed like a day one guy we know could communicate for this defense. Got to be wrapping up here. So if we have any last minute stuff that you guys want to throw in, we're coming up on an hour here. I was like, oh, I'll jump on there for like 30 minutes and just wrap up free agency and stuff. But no, I appreciate the communication. If you guys haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Maybe we'll try to do this a lot more. Let me know if you guys want to do that mock draft live. Maybe we can go through it together. I was planning on doing it just as like a video that I would post. But if you guys are down and want to do it live and make the picks together, I'd be down for that as well. Could they move the green dot to Ramsey, free up Queen to just play ball? I mean, I guess like if they're going to play Ramsey as much as they did last year, again, he's not going to like come off the field. I guess that's possible. I mean, was it like one game in 20? What year was that TJ had to wear it just because of everything going on in the linebacker room? Was it 2020 maybe? Somewhere around there. Like it doesn't have to be an off-ball linebacker if that's what we're getting at here. So I think it's like possible, but I think if that was on the table, like why didn't they try it out last year for somebody else to do it? You shocked that Connor Hayward left? I honestly was. I thought he would be the type to take a decent deal to stay a Steeler. Guess I was wrong. Hey man, good for Connor getting 2 years, going to prove that it's not only the Steelers that would employ him. It was the offensive guru that just won the Super Bowl that I think a lot of people would have loved to have had a Steelers head coach that bring him in. He's a useful player, man. Like I get it from a fan perspective, especially early on. I think the last couple of years, like he's definitely proven his worth with all the different tasks that they've given him and what he's been able to do. Really good special teamer as well, which like kind of always flies under the radar unless you're like the ace, like the Miles Killebrew or the Ben Skoranek. Carson Bruner, I think we got another one, like the next in line. He's the Robin to Skoranek's Batman now, in my opinion. But Connor got a lot of hate here, and I never really got it. Like he is what he is. I think he's a useful player, and I'm glad that the Raiders agreed. Good for him getting the 2-year deal. Unless Tyson's there at 21, I like to trade back. So do I, but I think everybody wants to trade back this year and acquire 27 capital, which could bode well for a team that wants to trade up. And we got 12 picks to do it. So again, while I agree about like starting to work on that 27 pick cupboard, might be it might play into their hand if they want to move up in 26. More likely to make the roster, Roman or Caleb? I really like this. I'm going to say, neither one brought in with this coaching staff. Roman's a better fit offensively, but if they add, I think it's like locked that they're going to add at least one more receiver, if not two. I wouldn't say that about like running, and when I say that, like obviously you're going to have camp bodies and stuff, but like legit threats to the roster. I wouldn't necessarily say that about running back. Man, like my head wants to originally say Roman, but then if I really think about it, I'm like, I'm going to do Caleb. Don't like the hate on him at all. I agree. All right, good stuff, guys. Appreciate you being here. Again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you have not already. We also do the podcast weekly. That gets posted on here, but it also gets posted to the audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you can find us. At around the 412, we've been posting a lot more different content, short form content on all the channels as well. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, wherever you can find us. It's been cool to kind of like dip our toes into more water. We've been doing this since 2017 and largely just as a podcast, but I just want to do so much more, man. Like I just want to fully immerse myself in the Pittsburgh content. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that we're working our way through free agency and going to be hitting the draft in Pittsburgh soon. So yeah, let me know about that mock draft, what you guys think, whether you're if you're watching back, let me know in the comments as well. I'll definitely jump on here again live and do one with you guys maybe in a week, maybe next Saturday. We can do it in the afternoon before we get to the kickoff of March Madness for that March Madness Saturday. So potentially we could do that. Real quick, I'll answer this one. Over under where the desire to move back begins. Oh, I mean, I think super early in the draft. You talked about teams, like with where they're picking. Yeah. So if I pull up a thing here, Cleveland at 6, I think would be willing to move back. Heck, Arizona needs so much at 3. I think that they could too. Cowboys at 12, always willing to move. LA at 13. I think that they would definitely love to get some 27 capital because 27 could be where they take their shot on their heir apparent to Stafford. Yeah, the teams are riddled with teams that I think would love to move back, and they make the most sense for the Steelers to try to get there. They pay Herbert while keeping, yeah, absolutely. Especially because like the cap hit would be so low originally. So like by the time that he's getting paid like big money, those deals are going to be off the books. Like you're going to have maybe one overlap year where all 3 are on pretty hefty contracts. So you can absolutely do it. But we'll dive more into that. I like that. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit. We'll give that a full discussion though on the podcast this upcoming week for you, Josh, because I got to get out of here. I got some stuff. I got some errands that I got to run. Got to get a workout in on this Saturday. But appreciate you guys again. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll be back probably next Saturday. I think that's the plan as of right now. Next Saturday we'll do a live mock draft with you guys. So stay tuned. If you hit that bell right here, you know exactly when that's taking place. But appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next.